Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Skill RPA. So in the real-time use case series, till now what we completed is we almost done with all of our SDLC except the testing and the deployment. So we already completed our coding in the last video. Like we covered with the requirement walkthrough and the PDD creation, effort estimation, and the solution design as well. And then we started the development with the help of RE framework. And now in this video, we are going to test this workflow and we'll make the things ready for the deployment and we'll do the deployment as well. So let me just close this and let us try to execute this flow. And in between, I'll just stop the flow just to have a negative scenario testing. So let me run this. So the first, the dispatcher will run, right? Like, so it will start adding the PO numbers to the orchestrator queue. So once the data is added and it goes for the procurement application, I'll just close the workflow in such a way that like it will go in a failure mode, in a negative scenario testing. Let us wait for the robot to start its execution. So now it opened up the application and it will download the spreadsheet and it will take all the PO numbers to add the data to the orchestrator queues. So now it is trying to log in. So now I'll just close this and I'll stop the workflow. And let us see how whether the data is got added to the orchestrator queue or not. Cloud.uipath.com. Let me just put my password here. Yeah, got logged into the UiPath orchestrator. So let us go to the UiPath orchestrator. Second time, and let us go to the learning folder where we have created a queue in the last session. Let us go to new transactions. So now we got a new transactions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 transactions. So now we are going to test it again because the architecture of what we developed is like it will add the data to the queues and then it will start processing. But every time when the system logs in, we will be having a new PO number. So the details will be mismatched and it should go into an error. So we didn't handle it, I guess. So let us see in the testing, we'll come to know whether the things are working as expected or not. So let me close this and rerun the workflow. And this time I'm not going to close it. I'll just see how the thing flow is going on. Now it started processing. and it will add the data to the queues, and it will now logging into the procurement anywhere application. Got signed in, and it will search for the PO number, and it is starting with 45, but here the PO number is different. So the robot is inputting a wrong PO number, PO details against the PO number. But we added these PO numbers also. But last time, whatever we added, so those PO numbers are considered, and it is inputting that particular data. But it will try to enter the new PO numbers as well. Let us see how the things are going. See, now it is coming to the actual PO numbers, but it is writing on top of the existing data. So here we need to work with the things. So I'm just stopping my robot because I got to know the things are not working as expected. And I identified the issue as well. So let me stop this robot. So the robot is got stopped. See, if we see here, there are two things. It is not validating the P1 number to which it is putting the data, and it is putting next to the existing data. So these two we need to handle. So how we can handle it? So let me go to the process. Let me go to the process transaction, and we should open this. It is under the frame. So this is not required. I'm just deleting this. So we are entering the data here, right? So what we need to do is we need to check first thing whether the P1 number is correct or not for each. So let me take, and let us take in PO number. So we need to take the PO number as an input argument. So we need to pass on the PO number here. And what is the PO number? Here is the variable. Okay, let me take this up. PO number variable. We are passing on the PO number to on here. So before writing something, what we will do is like we'll just use a get text activity in order to get the PO number. So let me identify the PO number. Let us go to the target, and let us give the label here. Let me open in the UI Explorer. And we are going to select this, choose argument, which is the field set. Okay. And we need to create a variable. See, this PO number is the variable, and we have an argument which is coming in as a PO number. So we just need to compare these two. Get PO number. We rename the activity. So here it is PO number. And now what we need to do is we need to compare both. We'll put an if condition. And we'll say PO number dot trim is equal to in underscore PO number. If these two are equal, then it should work as expected, else it needs to throw a business rule exception that the PO number is not matching. Not. I'm just putting that because instead of writing into the else, I just want to make sure things are working neat or clean. If PO number not matching, then we are going to throw a business rule exception. So we'll be writing throw. We'll be using a throw activity to throw a business rule exception, and it will be PO number not matching. We will throw an exception for this. We'll be writing the syntax new business rule exception. PO number not matching. So now let us log into UiPath Orchestrator. So we'll see how many transactions are remaining, because the next execution, these PO numbers won't be available. So these PO numbers needs to be marked as a failed, because see, if you see, it entered the wrong values, but the status will be marked as success because it already done its job, like it completed its job, like entering the data into the fields. But what we need is, we need to validate that before itself. So here there are three remaining. If you view the transactions, there are three things which are in the new state. So let us see. We'll execute, and these three should be into the failed. This is remained in the in progress because we stopped the bot in between. So let me close this, and now those needs to be, and like we have seen, right? Like these are like getting right, like over. It's not overwriting it. It is right, just appending the string. So what we'll do is, we'll just enable this empty field so that it will delete the existing. Now, as we handle, this might not be required, but safer side, I don't want this to override the things. So I just selected it. Now we are in a good shape and form. I think we fixed the issue, and we need to validate it back, whether we fixed the issue or not. Let us execute this. So it started the application. It is downloading the spreadsheet. Now it is adding the data to the queues. It went for the procurement application. It is logging into the application. Now it is searching for, it is started for 3-4. Do we have the 3-4 here? 4997. If you see, right, it is searching and it is not entering. Now it got the correct PO number and it started entering the information. So now we handle that exception, and whatever the PO number is not available here, and the robot is throwing an exception, and we'll see the queue items, how those are got reflected after this execution. Now, if you see, like it is like properly identifying, validating whether the PO number is correct or not. You should get 100% right. Yeah. So here we got 100% accuracy. So our automation is working as expected now. And this is what expected is. So let us see the queue items here. So if we go to the queues, and let us go to view transactions. See here, there are 3 failed transactions, and the exception is business rule exception. And we can see, if we go to the view details, see it's a business rule exception. The reason is PO number not matched. We have seen, right? Like there are 3 transactions which are pending before this, and now these are into the business rule exceptions, and the others are successful. So our test execution is successful. So now we need to deploy this process to the UiPath Orchestrator. How we can do that? Before doing that, so the best way is like, see, what I prefer is like to rename properly everything, right? That is as per the business practice. So instead of saying that general business process, we'll write the process name. PO tracking hyphen supply chain management. So we are doing this, and the process title is purchase order tracking. So whatever the process name we have, we will be writing that. And the process description is, we initially wrote in the project JSON. Like while we are creating, right, we gave the description. So I'm just taking the same data from there and we'll be putting it here. And see, others and all, like whoever is implementing, they can write their name. And I just want to mention the applications which we are going to use here. The applications which we are using is supply chain management application and also procurement anywhere application. So now to publish this to the orchestrator, we have an option publish here. So we'll be clicking on this. So we have the name, package name, and if you want to change, we can change it. And the version is, so this will be whenever you are publishing, right, we'll be getting that. And this pre-release is in case if we are not deploying this into the production and if we are releasing it for testing, then we'll mark it as a pre-release. If we check this box, then we are going to get this alpha. And icon, we can just upload any icon if we have something. From downloads, so we can upload if something is, if you want to change, keep a different icon. And we need to write the release notes. Initial deployment after UAT or SIT, whatever. Like in case, why we need these release notes is, initially we don't have anything to write, but after that, whenever we are redeploying things, we need to mention what are the changes we have done in the process, both in the functional and technical as well. So we'll click on next. Here we need to select. We can publish that to the orchestrator, or we can just, if you select this custom, you can just publish, we need to publish to the local or to some URL, whatever is mentioned. So let us go to the tenant field and we'll click on next. These are not required, like in case if you want to have a certificate and all these things, we'll be doing that, but we'll directly click on publish. So it is publishing the package. So the package is published. So where do we have these packages? We'll be having under the tenants and packages. So here is supply chain management PO tracking. And from here, so we published into this folder, in the tenant. And in case if we have a folder, in each and every folder, we can create this process. So for creating a process, we'll be coming here and we'll be clicking on add process. And we just need to select the package. Supply chain management you want to create. It got selected, and entry point, if it is other than main or like whatever is defined in the project directory, like here, if you see, right, this is main. This is the entry point. This mark is there. We can define anything, like in case if we can take this framework, this also we can set as a main. In case if we mark that as a main, then it will be an entry point. But here main is the entry point, and in case if we want to change to something else, we can just give that file name here so that it will take. But it is not there in that particular folder. Because of that, it should be in the root directory of the project. In case if we want to change the orchestrator queue name, we can change that, and folders, we can just edit values from here. And if we just need to give the name. But by default, I want everything needs to be taken from the config. So I'm not mentioning anything. We click on next. So it is just saying that like these are missing and all these things, but that is fine. Because we are not passing anything as an argument. So everything we have in the config. So everything will be taken care from there itself. So we can provide the display name. I'll say pivot tracking. If we don't give the display name, by default, it will take based on the package name. And this is a description which we define when we are creating the project. And if you want to give the labels, we can give, but these are not required much. But the job priority is like we just need to give the priority of the job. Like it depends on what type of execution you need. Like let us suppose if we have two schedules at the same time and with the highest priority going from bottom to the top, that job will be triggered first. So I'm just for time being, I'm just keeping that medium. And this process can't stop from the UiPath assistant. If we enable this, we cannot stop this process from the UiPath assistant, or else like it will give an option for us in order to stop the process from UiPath assistant and automatically start the process whenever the UiPath assistant UiPath agent starts. Like in the task manager, let me just open the task manager. So UiPath agent will be running in the background under the services. So whenever that service is started, generally, let me open services. Let me open the services. Just I think something got renamed or like missing something. Oh, sorry, it is local. We need to go for admin. For that, let me go to run as an admin. So I'm not able to open services with admin mode, but whenever the service starts, then the process will be automatically started. So these are not required. Let us click on create. So now the process got created. So this is how we are going to deploy a process. So this is the process which is got deployed. And in case if we get into the UiPath assistant, now we could able to see this. So we don't have any unattended license configured right now. So I closed UiPath Studio and even UiPath Orchestrator. So we haven't attended because the studio will come along with the attended. So we can just need to install. We have seen right in while deploying, we can update an icon, upload an icon. So here it will get reflect here in case if we just give a icon to that. So it is getting installed. So now we'll execute from here. From studio, we started the job. Let us see how it is going on. This is a purely attended mode execution. For attended mode, we will be triggering the process from UiPath assistant. And we don't have currently, I don't have anything configured and as an unattended robot. So we'll see in some time in any of the playlists, we'll trigger the process on an unattended robot license with a scheduled trigger. So let us wait for this to be started. Yeah, it started the execution. And now it is downloading the spreadsheet. As it is going through the HTTP, we cannot see anything in the front end. And now it is adding the information to the queues, purchase order numbers. And now it will start logging into the procurement anywhere application. Started logging in. So with this, it completed its process, and now it is going to click on the submit. Yeah, it closed the application and now it's submitted. So we got the accuracy. And we can use the closing of this application in the end process, but we want to see how the output is. So we didn't do that. So with this, we completed our testing and the deployment as well. And going further in the further sessions or in some use case, we are going to see how we can write the test cases or how we are going to track the testing and how we are going to create the test evidences for the deployment approval. So we are going to see those in any of our real-time use case scenarios, which we are going to discuss further in the playlist. So with this, we completed our playlist, supply chain management. And so this is the last video of the series, and we deployed that and we executed from the robot. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Skill RPA.